soul, but we can only say to the Mighty God that grant her eternal resting peace and comfort Peter Kalu and the entire family, and as well as the motorsport fraternity.
Actually, very appreciative that I've seen different condolence messages. You are a World Rally Team, I presume the Federation will send, and all these other rally teams and clubs. My Chembalabeko usually babeerawo omuntu waabwe mu buli ngeri. So this is a very good sign of that family moment, unity, if I might put it that way.
Okay, away from the demise of Nalongo into the first question to the international scene, then get back here, Kampala. The WRC, which is upon us this weekend, but before WRC, the Adrian Fomo, a producer that work with Fananye, Yashigadde, twali kwa ntugera kwa Evans, who has had a very good start of the season. He's been on podium the last three events, first three events by the way.
About the podium.
Yes, and he's won two of the first three because he won
Sweden.
He won Sweden and Kenya
and counting.
And
counting.
Okay, and counting. Spain this way. But he's try to get up last week on the Evans
Yachigadde.
Kati kuno fomo Yachigadde.
Na yachivudemu na ye.
Fomo Yachivuddemu. I was seeing the pics producer jakuta kuifana ebyo. Ebya fomo, but it's one of those we talk about it's time ya Evans. He's been on form. It's his championship to lose.
Those are fomo yalabye.
Naga ne timing entuufu kankigalire ddala. Kati fomo simanyi ko yasinzidde.
Fomo ko yalabye ebirungi Evans byayitamu olw'okubanga yafuna half eri naga nange kandifune galeze.
Producer so twakubifaananya ebyo ebya Adrian Fomo. But it's one of those things I'm seeing these guys doing. Yeah, that's Adrian Fomo for you. Those Kongs to Adrian, I don't know, twagamba who's next, for more tumulowozaako. Yakubya akavulu.
And those are for more, those are sijagamba nti kabadde akaseera akatuufu naye waliwo ebintu ebijja after having a very big deal crossing over from Ford ogenda mu Hyundai nga one of the lead drivers mu team doza yagenza okulaba nga kyetaagisa okubanga ayina support yeyo omanyi kiba kirungi nnyo ngo omanyi nti out there wali akalobooza akasupporting ennyo nga kaga go on. So ndoza fomo yatutte chance eyo aga kamutere ddala abeere ku side yange ebisigadde ndoza bijja kuteera ndoza n'ebizibu byafune Kenya agenda okulaba nga teri wamu amulira omanyi that small voice ekakanya ndoza byafuna ebizibu ebyo bingi naga netaaga kaloboozi kano kabenga kafunira mu kaseera so fomo nasalawo akifula official akandika okubanga abakuseetirungi nnyo ku kintu ekyo naye ndowooza abavuzi abasinga abagenze bakikola kujjako wakyaliwo bali abato baffe bakale bo bakyalina ddole ennyingi ez'okuzanya nabo so bakyalindamuko katono.
Very unreal for sports personalities okubanga producer atwaddelo Adrian Fomo akigadde producer okuba bintu bino Joe, it's rare to see sporting personalities.
Actually, it's common lwakuba nti tufollowinga nnyo tumanya abo betufollowing
ngamba murali
kibaayo naye kati mutubanga omwinamu interest kuba kati Adrian watuuse mu WRC and the present social status nti abantu abalinako ku weight mu social media w'ennaku zino bakutambuza nnyo kati Adrian is a world star. He's participating in a world championship, so definitely his track record is very popular. Yes, so very good. Me happy for him. He has found his better half. He has decided he can't live without her. She has decided she can't live without him. So let them to come together and enjoy their life.
Yes, we deco
bomb. Tujja mulinda ku track kwenye ne results wali.
agatera kunga amatya ayagala omusajja ali mu motoka z'empaka oba wezibidde kubanga sajja baba flying at 180 kilometers over your brow.
Ate kyabana kirina even more risk, it's even risky because of the pace of the cars because itambulira. Okay, comes to for more and bonna omukulu wono usigalira wonna the platform weri. Tujja kuyoza. But away from that, still talking about the WRC back in Spain this week, this weekend, and producer network kufanya nyinyi but line up season. If you look at the way season has been so far, so far so good for Toyota, so far so good in my view for Efren Evans. Last year, aliku championship, chiri najitwala after 10 years. This time around was naina record yamenye okuba nti after 23 years, you have another omuntu okuva UK. Now wangula the WRC Kenya Safari Rally. And twali analyzing a rally, I think it was it was no, it was Aaron and ne Haji Mayanja. Yeah, about how rally we are changing our leadership
in Masat. 202 in Masat rally
Safari by the way. Yeah, Colin McRae. Omuntu okuva UK okuwangula the WRC Kenya Safari. How many years have gone past? Of course Nigeria Kenya yamale banga ngate hosting. It's part of that, but Evans also do kwanga chibakolera mu event Kenya. Joe, I should we say with 11 rounds to go? 3 down, 14 out of 14. Is it too early to say it's surely Evans here?
Way early to say. way early to say. Kuwanga the way bunga whatever rallies leads keep changing every stage, or basically even every end of the day. He only has advantage right now and he's leading, but feeling confident you have won the championship with events left or any wangula nabazifunamu 100% of the points tajja kujja joli. Evans, there's what 2021 all he had to do was cross the finish line and win the championship. Then he flipped the car. So it is, in my view, it is too early. Kawasaka very too early. I am behind Evans 100%, not Toyota. Evans. Kwanza nagamba nza kuvadda mu gondi zino zempagira muntu. Ndiwa Evans, and I back him 100%. So we'll be cheering him on. Already we are happy so far. And thank God nabagwagira Toyota mumuli mu kintu. But Spain, he has had a fairly good record.
Spain
in
Spain is tarmac.
He's had a fairly good record in Spain. Not the best of it. I don't know if Sodo is coming. I've not seen the lineup.
Yeah, I think Sodo is back.
For Hyundai. And Sodo is a tarmac specialist. For them, they are there. Their record, they are able to give you good results. If Oji is participating, those schemes are going to change. Unfortunately for Toyota, so far, you are baby assassin. If that's what
line up yiyo Evans, Toyota, Thierry, Hyundai, Tanak, Hyundai, Oje, akomye by the way, Kenya tayaliyo. Then Adrian Fomo, Yakachigala, Hyundai, Khalil Vampera, Toyota, Takamoto Katsuta, Toyota, Sami Toyota, Greg Mustard, Ford, Nejoji. Kati Toyota ina Evans, ina Oje, ina Khaled, Takamoto, Nesami Payari. Nesami Payari, of course, not scoring.
He's scoring for Gundi 2.
What
was Toyota team 2?
Yes. That's why he's scoring. But of course, Ford by limitations into the manufacturers' championship because of the limitation of the number of cars. Aaron, yeah, this can
we have the tarmac specialist back in Oja for that event. Katusabenta ijja performance for the Toyota team. Then Gabola Biendoza Gundi Jacola Tigiza Kola naye it's very tight for Canaries. Ebitoka na challenge badde rudo craninga ku WRC event yeyo ya Island. So tulabe kinavayo weekend yeno the first event ku tarmac. Evans tumusabire data kwatije bukwatiza asigalebwa otalina kuwangula akwatira aberewo. Never know.
Bwana asobola ku maintaininga podium for at least 6 events, half the events of the year, then he stands a better chance of being a bit more comfortable.
Yes. For instance, about fatigues is a good stages the Paraguay. Baba Day this year, so that's the kind of the setup of the stages. We can't wait for that event.
We have a spectator VA.
Yes, a very, very good being point. Could this be Evans here? We can't wait to watch the space. Nenga, for instance, I'm not working standings. Is a championship ndaba Evans in 88 points and with after 3 rounds I think surely it's his championship to lose. Okay, players line up the standings for after 3 rounds. Evans in 88 points, which I think can as well building it up, maintaining maybe not, but of course any one day one retirement who I think would really fancy to defend what he won last year.
And Tanak
as well
is looking for it. Yes.
Looking for it as well. Cairo Vampeda, it's not yet. Tanako is yet to perform as we expect him to perform. But let's see what, of course,
but then the interesting thing is, I read sometime last week, Tikale next year I got a Chigal. Yeah, he's thinking of quitting the race by next year. He has other adventures. Who can compete at the highest level for quite some time. People like Sebastian Ogier and Sebastian Loeb, they give more credit. They're able to run 7, 8 years, 9 years at that level. Omukuli akola 2 years, now lidanga chimutuse. Nafuna moka break. Kakomiemo, he's really not firing at all.
He's not the assassin Oli.
See Oli, and he has even admitted nti wo chiganyem. Walo mwaka go baita Oitanak, they want half alien. Since then that Tanak has never appeared. Nze Terry Kunalaba Ford has never showed up in Hyundai. Never in Hyundai. Then another guy who have been doing that for
7,
quite
8 years. Year in, year out.
Stage to stage, rally to rally. So you give them their flowers. But we hope, personally, on a selfish note, I wish Evans the best to maintain his podium status. He can only drop the margin between anybody else who will be above or Evans. But so far the gods on his side.
All right, away from the Darius which upon us this weekend, definitely get back on Monday. We will even also do event but of course on Radio TV, of course Neko from the Podium will definitely keep you posted regarding the flow of that event. All big guns Mavali, so we can't simply wait. Okay, then over the weekend we had F1 about Saudi Arabia. I don't know who just Saudi the Red Bull. I think they have won 75% of the races in Saudi, but after the end of the race, of course, even Max Chatak was over the weekend was to win the race. He was on pole. Drive of the day. He took that penalty. Race in the first corner. You have Bagam and he forced someone off. He forced Piastri because Piastri and he had a better start than Max. So Max trying to they come to come corner. So in that due course, Nagenda wide, gaining the leadership. But Stewards never ruling not ruling enough for a 5 seconds penalty. Now we had them pit, never in the 5 seconds. Never quite enough to send Pete and Damunagova. But otherwise, his lead he was meant to win the race if it hadn't been for because he lost that race by 2.6 seconds. 2.6 seconds. When I had the reservations after the race, where else would Max go? But I'm again at that point. But Chadwick even previously, and the same incident happened. The Swords used that precedent. The 5 seconds penalty. So far, that was McLaren's first win. Saudi ever since competing, and good performance from Lando. From Oscar Piastri. Very, very young, and he's trying to put up points on board. I couldn't the championship by the end of I was looking at the stats after that race. In the first Australian or Formula 1 championship over Mark Webber. So it's really McLaren's years and all that. That's one constructors at the same time ne drivers okujjako omuntu yekeka abalimu awo it's only
PS3
it's only Max that is Mark Webber 2010 where first Australian okubanga
kulembera leading
championship after since 2010 but Joe man constructors and it's McLaren because they're putting points on board it was PS3 then Max Leclerc Lando Lando yatandika mu kyekumi namanya mu kyokuna then points championship of course PS ajukulemeni manufacturers McLaren ajukulemeni they're putting points on board but I think it's Max yalinga abayingiramo in between either Lando or PS3 so I think it's either McLaren
I didn't watch the race ne Hamilton yamadde mu kyakumeka
Ham was 7th overall.
For quite some years he has booked
the 7th and 9th before we abikutira
n'amaanyi mulingeri first of all nze ndi very happy nti McLaren is showing up mu F1 series kwanza frankly speaking nali nkoye Mercedes Ferrari and Red Bull nga bebazanyirawo bokka much as I've always been a Hamilton guy and having only those cars nga bebali mu kintu had become a little bit monotonous katokulaba nti McLaren is actually showing up nga ate ne ba drivers bayo in names of Lando and Piastri chebakola nakyo kyamanyi I think it's very effective then those in the last 3 years 2024 now 2025 is going to be the most exciting Formula 1 series because of the unpredictability of
the performances.
Well, like the other time when they were in Bahrain, Hamilton is on pole. He wins the sprint. Then in the main event disappears to back to his seventh. Then you find people like Lando Norris who start and basically maintain their pace at the top there, but the mid-range gundi abadukanya ba Piastri by Charles Leclerc, they're actually trying to show some shines of brilliance. So Kanzendo's anti McLaren is having a good run, and with the way they are moving, they might maintain it. If they keep it that way. But so far, so good, and it's a very exciting series so far.
Anyone, in my view, I constructors. Maybe for the drivers, and it's only Max who can battle those two McLaren guys.
Kizibu nnyo kubanga kati at least balaze nti yo nga McLaren eraze nti ate nekyanoza twamanyirawo nti they're the most balanced team ku grid nti bw'oba olina Piastri ne Lando ku tiimu emu abalala nga tebali as good nga bana babiri yali badegezaako okubalansinga yali badde Ferrari ya Leclerc ne Ham naye ate Ham yatulaze nga ebifo bye yabibuginga bulungi nnyo nalabye pit stop strategy Ferrari gyade ekozeseza ya holdinze on Leclerc ku track for almost 30 laps nga kwali achazigaddeko
Lando Norris batandikidde ku hard
ate batandikidde
hard sokola 35 laps batandikidde ku 35 laps
tegeera so yagenza okukyusa omupiira agenda ku mediums yasobodde okugoba actually Russell n'amugjayo nadda mutopanga Russell yabadde mu kyokusatu nga Leclerc mabega so nasobola kumugjayo n'amugjayo they at the end of the race tail end of the race twalabye battle wakati wa Lando Norris ne Leclerc nga munoonya okumugja kubanga for starters Lando yabadde kubanga ye stayed even longer ku hard ku track meaning yafunye time nene nnyo ku mipiira ku soft meaning yabadde asobola okupushinga harder era yareducinze kubanga ya time yakyusiza emipiira egyo nga ali 6 seconds behind Charles ne ya closinze in natukana na 1 second of Charles so labira ati yapushize nyina abadde balabanze yabadde alabira ku kasimu kange nabadde nga nabedde la Clark yakole okubotolinga bamuyise ne yakwatiridde nasobola okumaintaininga ekyokusatu and that was very interesting naye nga mukwano gwange nga bwe nagamba oli utwaleeta ye yasigadde
right we go in for a break get back discuss yabadde ebichana ku smart beats or yade round one ya Central African Motocross challenge yabadde over at the weekend. Let's get back after the short commercial break. We're back from that short commercial break. It's a Podium every single Monday from 10 p.m. to midnight, where we preview and review everything all of motorsport. Now, in Samba Joe grew up. Now, in case, of course, nothing producer program on a radio song at the MITYANA. We're going to have some money for some
camera.
Man, I am going to be into our Kampala region.
Bangamba Kampala region,
technical focus.
Big size.
Solo candidate.
Solo candidate.
All right, our weekend we do the first round of the Central Africa Motocross Challenge. Walipo Smart Beach, MITYANA. That round, of course, why it's called the Central Africa Motocross Challenge, because it's meant to be competed in countries easily within the Central Africa region, but of course Uganda and Kenya are dominating, and no wonder when Uganda hosts the first round, Kenya does host the second round. There's much talk about the second round where the Vipingo, Mombasa. We watch the space and see. But Joe, you are following that event. You bring us up to speed how things did unfold in that event. Yeah, but the MX, dubbed as, of course, the Central Africa Motocross Challenge, CSC1, stroke MX3.
MX3. Just to give it a bit of background, Yali Central and Eastern Central Africa Challenge. All the countries of Central Africa and East Africa is participating. Kwa 20th year that this championship has been running. But as time went on, one by one, only Kenya and Uganda are participating. You'll have one round in Uganda, and I think 3-4 years ago, to have 3 rounds. So one country will host two rounds.
2 rounds.
So you'll find Uganda also can get Kenya that you know so it will keep bouncing like that. Unfortunately, because of the elements that remain, the last few years, try to call a round bid is okay. One in Uganda and one in Kenya. Now, unfortunately, because of the politics in Kenya, they were not able to participate in this round one. Regulations of FIM, they were supposed to have sent a team. Jury member Kenya, but because of their internal politics, they are not able to participate in this event, and they're not able to send a team either. But fortunately, Tanzania managed to show up for the event and give it a bit of credits. Kadwali Taba riders batano are participating in MX1 and MX2. Rally event here yawadene ba riders in Sambu basatu. Of course, ngojeko wana Uganda bana Tanzania batano abasigade bali bana Uganda. Unfortunately, Tanzania mo during hit 1 after incident na banga tasula continuinga mugonde. Event yatanuka ku Saturday with the technical checks and paperwork and documentation, and then also the driver's briefing and everything, and then hit 1 yalek Saturday. Then hit 2 and 3 were run is a guru ku era event yawada ku Smart Beach MITYANA. Muganda wa George Semakula was the COC. That gentleman, he has he has really upped his game when it comes to COC of motorbikes. Small what you get in Uganda. He has really upped his game. Not following a regulations. What say kati mukugunyo. Just 2 weeks ago, he was COC Masakarale. Of COC Masakarale, COC, CSC, and also MOTOCROSS 3. Moe Weeks in Alabidi is the stage commander Mopal. So basically, his schedule is tight and he's very busy. But event was very interesting and very competitive. Track here, MITYANA, Eric Smart Beach here, designed by Joshua and a couple of other people. Jetu avugira ko MX8 last year, design ya choosemo, and there was many people who came and watched it who have gone for international events. Bagante, it's designed meets international standards. in the sense that temulimu kulegulula nnyo temulimu jump zira zitiisa z'amaanyi mulimu stretch tight which is very competitive. I think loops nabo buweraweramu nga batera bwe basanga mu Morocco era bwe basanga in other countries. So it was very competitive and tight. The only disadvantage is of the weekend nti mwabaddemu enfu kasana kaade kangi nnyo so nga mulimu enfuufu. So after the first few runs fufu neberanga nebanga esituka so nekinecessitating nti balina okuwataringa track eyo kati watering system gye bali ba installing neberanga talinamu netatagalamu katono nga tesobola kugira wonna naye nga ababaddeyo it was a fun event, very exciting, very competitive. There are people abagala motorsport kijja kuba kirungi nnyo muba musobola okujja nemulaba ku pichi zino ez'empaka eza motocross. They are very exciting to watch. Wherever it is there kazibeddaluga busika oba gyemugazuliranga kyabadde nnyo mubeere nga muziraba. Event yabadde tegekeddwa Enduro Uganda ne my club also era ne kwataganya n'abantu okuva ebweru from other clubs okubategekerako. Timu ye Tanzania yakulembeddwa omukulu Abdullah nga ye Honorable Akena we Tanzania. Is a former rider nga is a FMU president we Tanzania. Yabakulembedde ate nga n'abeera ne jury member. Very useful guy, very young guy. Ngate he has been very active. Yafranka incident mu pitches naberanga touches participating.
Tanzania bagata MX ne rallying.
Such was no tebazigata. Kubanga they didn't really have motor pitch. They are beginning to form the MX
organization.
Kaboze bavuganga zaffe ngabola bayigala back association zinezoku enduro racing kumwetolamu joy riding. Then as they monitored motorsport watambula they bagamba let us also get into motocross. So the belief is that in the next few months batakamaze formulating association yabwe no registering with what with FIM babenga babata international listing.
Okay.
Era if I'm not mistaken bayinza promoting motorcycling ewaabwe bayinza okubeera nga bayinza okutwala format ya Rwanda nti Uganda is very active. If I can get some riders from Uganda to come and participate in some events
in
if they are this exhibition game games Tanzania kijja bayamba okukola obugondi kubanga abavuzi bayina they don't have more than 8 riders in Dagona. Nkulu yanga nti bayinamu 50 cc bayinamu nga babiri 65 bayinamu omu then ogatuko n'abaana abaddewo. But event yabadde very competitive especially mu 56 junior bana emyaka 4 to 6 very competitive. Then 50 G senior 6 to 9 there also very competitive. Bebasinga okuleeta excitement mu era abantu badde bagenza balaba nga they actually very bebasinga okuleeta excitement mu bantu. Then 65 also very competitive. 85 and ebolamu katono. Then 125 omuli gift is also very huge. In that thing. MX1 it's a disease of Uganda. Oyo mchala gobalaba ku TV is the ambassador of Tanzania to Uganda. She attended. She was the guest of honor at the opening ceremony. Era bemulaba ne DVP
ne George Semakula
COC ne DVP they were actually flagging off the first hit. Wawadeo official parade which ran yesterday and no kuimba anthems no listing about no kutambula no basically celebrating the whole event. But it was very exciting, very interesting to attend. Say zatanga sawa by yata sawa satu by nebwanga sawa 11 era prize giving era yabadde ku Smart Beach ne yawade about 7 o'clock. Very entertaining on kinalabyemu nti vibe gitwale tuyina rally which was lost has shifted to motorcycling. Nti mulimu simanyi team basumbuyi SB4 very aggressive guys. They are just there to kuchamukate buli kigenda maaso. So they brought a lot of excitement, a lot of vibe mu gundi kibeera abantu basanyuka nnyo okulaba ne kigenda maaso in terms of celebrating stuff like that. Then ekirala ba parents bawagala nnyo omuzannyo okukyeringa omwana wo ng'avuga pikipiki nobeera nga running up and down. It's actually very nice. Mwami Kateeta ave no naddera agenda mubuuza at the end of the day you can think tiyabadde competing naye just abadde awujja mwana kugenda maaso. The only mistake which we keep doing as Uganda is allowing coaches and the parents
to go to the track.
Kubanga yo ajja kulaba omuntu ajja kugamba ati nze coach w'omwana nina okubeera nga muwevinga on. This is my child, you know, moving on. It is wrong. The track assistants, who are supposed to be on the track, maybe because of our small integral issues, there's no confidence in that these track assistants will do the right thing. Kubanga mulimu guno obuntu nti ono katugambe his team Bukenya, ono his team Joe, oli team Chi, Aaron. Kati omuntu wa Aaron bwanagwa wendi ngate ndi track assistant I will delay
to lift him up,
to lift the person naddala mu category ya wansi because 50s you are allowed to lift them up. Then you find these parents now on the track doing that job themselves.
Okay.
Sometimes they actually become a hazard kubanga parents abamu ng'omwana wagwa wali namuyamba muzeeko amuze waggulu ate n'asigala mu track oblivious nti waliwo omulala ajja. That could have been an incident. So, you know, motorcycling, whenever against them education forums are you. Ekintu ekyo kisomesa nnyo ba parents nti whatever they think, whatever statements they have, tebakkiriza kubeera ku track. They should be off the track, but not get onto the track to help what a rider who has fallen down to get that. But they care about safety, who are supposed to be doing that. But otherwise, the event was actually very, very exciting and very interesting. MITYANA bazze mu bungi bawezemu waliwo chairman w'ekitundu yazze, waliwo mayor w'ekitundu naye yazze, waliwo mukungu yazze ne family ye yonna. Nalaba last hit nagamba naye akaana kange tekasobola kuvuga naye akaana ako nyinza okkakuwa ngamba olina pikipiki nti you get on organize one day jump track ovugemu nako ngalaba ka 50 ngalaba nti asobola okkakuwa no get time. You're not the first person to say it. I've seen people who tried it before and they regret it. Ngadi jangu funa time funa practice mulimu aba picking the interest in riding. Champion 2010 2011 Susan was around. Katete mulaba waving on the kids to go. So ngama by about 5 when I doing the last hit, more people had turned up. Ngabala banti kavim kachabulamu. They wanted another round. Unfortunately, ngaziweddeyo, and then we, of course, eventually chawedde very successful. What I found very commendable, Aaron, and Njagambanya abantu, as you go for motorsport events, when they talk about safety, people should take heed of issues of safety. Leave alone yourself, but Peter background safety, the medical personnel, the ambulances, who are supposed to be on standby. To them, could use that for ticking a box into the safety ambulance. No, vehicle. We should actually have these people on the ground. A proper ambulance on the ground, proper medical staff on the ground with proper medication. One incidents, they're almost continuous. Then management, yeah. Abantu by MITYANA Referral Hospital, where they brought the whole orthopedic department, part of the doctors of the orthopedic department of
MITYANA Hospital,
and those guys who handle trauma, and those people who handle sports injuries. But also they were responding very quickly to quick diagnosis of what the issue is and quick assessment. Obusongo injuries they managed them very, very quickly and moved on. Because the medication was on the ground, the doctors were very available, and they provided the facility to do that. So I've seen some of our events, actually, it is just box it's the car, but the elements of it are missing.
Are not there.
It will be very important that because of the magnitude of that event. But for our local events, that thing will help us moving forward. But otherwise, Kenya, The event was extremely very colorful, and I think we learned a lot of, personally I learned a lot of stuff from there that we can adopt into other things. Very important to see that in motorcycling there's a lot of discipline from both the riders and even the parents and even the fans. Mulimu akantu ka respect kwa ajira kubanga otuka mu service speed no communication oba no kola what needs to happen, because I was functioning as a CRO at the same time as organizer, and you'll get the respect from the communication you provided and they respond to it. Tujja kufuna retort from a disgruntled fan or a disgruntled whatever or something like that. Yeah, might you have communicated what needs to be done and things are moving. Toward them the incidences of indiscipline by some two riders, in sport there's what they call fair play. So you're not too intentional to hurt somebody. And if you do it, you are basically punished or penalized for it. So by them cases of indiscipline, between two riders in the last heat. Jury never told her, never interviewing, and never their side of the story, and eventually they were given a reprimand. But it's going to go on their record, because now it means for them their record indicates they have case of indiscipline, and if they do it again, to become a bit more punitive. Secondly, the way it was addressed for me was very nice. There and then, just like Mayogede about F1 yesterday, Gondi Yafunye incident mu turn 1 lap ya Katandika. But before the lap ended, penalty had been issued, issue had been resolved, and a penalty given, and it was addressed there and then, which is the way we should go.
Start dragging
and in other events.
Yeah, looking at the overall scores in that event, Uganda have points 2011. 2011 as compared to Kenya's 85 points. Of course, Kenya, Tanzania, if you look at they didn't have people in competition.
Some categories.
In the MX50, MX65, MX85, MX125.
MX lines, but then 125 and 1.
Yeah. Then MX2 and MX1. That is where they had computers. So definitely very disadvantaged because of the numbers and such events. Because Uganda again the return leg, which is most probably to be in Vipingo, with a huge advantage. So chances are high that Uganda is going to definitely retain what it won last year. Even then, what the Kenya Jakubeda, that is if they do host. Because Kenyan motorsport, by now, it's entangled into that very lot of issues. By now, no Buza Muturi. That's why I asked him as they were heading into safari. Their President Weri was about, my first term has been full of young mayhem. It's just, things are just not shifting the way. And I'm not about what I am. You double click about the federation. Sport yafugibwa yakulemberwako because for them the issue ya color, it's a huge it's an issue which I think it's what awanyamuko in my view. You remember the times when the chatezi bali woko
the bazungu
wazungu ata wazungu bagundi alista tundo lilozi that's then emulyoka mujja
basingi
basingi then olyoka wajate
kimata abadugavu
sorry to say nakwata muko. So I think there was this issue. That's when you saw a decrease in the number of entries, because Kenya was about kubeera with a vibrant national rally championship in 2016.
2015,
16, 17 when Manville brings in the Skoda, winning the Africa 3 times, 17, 18 and 19. That time, of course, Bagundi Bali Otundu, rather Tapio Aliyo, and the champion. That championship, I've followed Kenyan championships, but Emuko is just in Okunyuma, because year 15, where Chate won the double, winning the ARC and the KNRC. It was so vibrant. Rajbirai,
Manville Variani,
you get a delight. So you have got Skoda, Air Mint, Rajibalji as well. then no Java no family of
Cabras team.
I think a Cabras team Bobaina huge. The package was big because they had people sponsoring Eric Bengi as well. I think Bengi was driving the Menengai
cream.
Then Ngavuga Top Fly. Then nobody got
Aquamist ne Cabra Sugar.
Cabra Sugar. Tajville ne the
Olio Mulala yani mwera bidezi
Tajville right. Then Onkarai. So Kati, that is when you saw the championship here booming and even you could move from Kampala to events that were event. One of the events in the Twali Con was the Tal Eldoret. There's much competition between Tapio and Chate. Tapio ngali mu motoka ya Sin, the GVB Sin. Chate ngali mu the Evo 10. China, the one which he used to win the ARC.
Yagano jitunda.
Echali yo wala bajira muza wana. Naye asante kanchi naye yaina bili of course. When you won the championship yaina bili. Yarevuga KNRC
ne ARC.
Kati yarevuga KNRC yawa Diraj yajja kwa najivuga kwa ne mupala abajukiro
bajjako bombi.
And that's the last time both we bajja kwa. And I remember having an interview with Diraj in this very show. But of course we were still running the show on radio. Of course, I'm not just active in Agamanti. Uganda is one of those countries they are going to competing in the near future. But ever since that time, we hardly see them in events. So Kenya, Chicho Ugambi, them not coming to Uganda to compete in motocross. By the way, driver of Kenya, yali ekuzenga teri motorsport yoka. Ngeriko ne mu rugby. What they call the Mijingo Derby, Uganda and Kenya. Nekati, of course, wali mu rugby still on. Nekati mu motorsport. It's with them hosting the first round. Ngateba hosting at the second round. Tebasi ni semuntu no, then it's 10-0 in favor of Uganda ahead of the tournament.
Thanks to Tisem Kaze involvement in participating in the Kenyan national
the MX
championship. Now mnabavuza abagenda ngayo bali batanso demystifying a threat yaba Kenyan riders. Now Mazo actually Ugandans are much better riders. Now the more that happened, the more it actually exposed them for what they are. Mwalimu kana kantu Uganda Kenyan onakusinga. Nenga tunachuwache show. The more Ugandan riders participated, the more they demystified Kenyans as being a threat. Kati ngaba tukene bakobira ye ko Miguel wetu kana bene champion wao. Ne kati nagana bene champion wao. Kati obajeno bageno kujanga era the number temara. They might have bagena tukubera tugenda kuswaya. So there will come few. So you find a huge number of riders in Uganda and we'll score more points. Kati tugende the Kenya bemulese abagena ba representing pound for pound to sort of matching. So at the end of the day, if you beat us,
by a smaller margin,
margin cushion which is what had happened. But
all right, we're going for a short commercial break. When we get back, try some results. Motocross with Uganda very dominant. Tanzania coming in second with 85 points. Let's get back after this short commercial break. So back into our last segment of today's show, we have definitely talked about a lot in the world of motorsport. We began with the DRS, which is upon us this weekend. Spain, then of course, F1 Baba Saudi, Demoko, Bagenda Kubanga Bakomao, later on in Miami, of course, where Lando, I think, won his first F1 race. We watched the space, and of course, MX round 3. Ate yabadde CSC Central Africa Motocross Challenge yabadde round 1. Kenya is meant to host round 2. We watch the space names by the issues. Ate jo twali mu break nga twogera ku Kenya they withdrew I think from hosting the Motocross of African Nations. Kati egenda
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, but it's it's another issue.
And they were also supposed to host CSC round 2. Now it's in the grey. Fortunately, Tanzania has expressed interest to host. But unfortunately, at the moment, Tanzania does not score because they are not affiliated.
They're not affiliated, yes.
And they score. They are basically under Uganda license at the moment. That's why Uganda is helping them to develop. That's sooner than later. Our very able MOTOCROSS might be asked to go and construct for them a standard track and help them to improve their standards, which I think is good for SEMCA Academy moving forward. But Ngabogambi, it's unfortunate for our region that those things are affecting us, and it is definitely helping us lose the edge. For Kenya, their troubles started a couple of years ago. One, when the big organizations pulled out, the Cabras, those big sugar companies and big sponsors pulled out, which means the big drivers who are carrying the bulk of the weight dropped out of the event. Secondly, when the KCB also pulled out, in my view, it exposed the lethargy yali mu Kenya gondi. Kubanga omanye omuntu abanga akutekamu na kumaintaining it out, and you take it for granted, things will happen. In Uganda, when government put in some money, all those efforts for clubs to organize, reducing. Take a budget and you fold. So if there's no money, you begin blaming the federation instead. So we also became that lethargic. That's how Kenya got into that picture. Then of course, in my view, when they focused on Safari Rally, they more or less lost interest in local sports. Then their focus was now how do we maintain the WRC, and then how do we maintain the standards. So Jukira, rallying is about the proliferation of what? Losing drivers. Katabumu category ja nevawo. But then sumwenda bajja bagone bajja nevawo. But there was no crop, which is different in Uganda. Mubamu always 2-3 people who are popping up. Ne Kenyans, they didn't have it. Kasa kalika kruka agenda kona, no new faces came up, and even abande badaba supporting the new breed didn't really have the resources or didn't have the interest. Such an Echipakate Kuresegade, which was brought in by MITYANA, Carl Flash Tundo, is to pick interest in rallycross, which is now the biggest sporting discipline in Kenya. And it is very cheap also. And when the motorcycle stuff like that, again over rallycross. One of those cars which came from rallycross did Safari, the Kavits. So he is now taking it back to rallycross. So he was venturing to see if it works. But you can rest assured, when you go for a rallycross, it's like a party atmosphere. Baba Yobanji. Then in other activities, it has been a mass. But it affects the competition in the region.
Balua film following on the 15th of April 2025 to all Film Africa members to meet my concern reference the MXON 2025 Kenya, August 2025. It is with regret that I have to inform you that Motorsport Kenya has unfortunately withdrawn as host for the 2025 MXON due to unforeseen circumstances. In conjunction with Council and MX Commission, the next federation on the list is Zimbabwe. Following the decision with Zimbabwe Motorsport, they have agreed to host the event in Harare. Then more information will be shared. Then later on, Kenya followed me barua about the same. Motorsport Kenya deeply regrets to announce its withdrawal as the hosts of the MOTOCROSS of African Nations 2025. The decision follows protracted legal challenges initiated against the federation, first by the East African Motorsports Club, an affiliate club of Motorsport Kenya, before the Sports Tribunal, including an application for injunctive relief, which was initially dismissed, though the complainant later withdrew the case on the day of its hearing. A renewed affidavit was subsequently filed by the Enduro Club, by Enduro and MOTOCROSS Sports Club, a non-affiliated entity, the resolution of which remains pending before the Sports Tribunal. While Kenya Motorsport fully respects the process, the prolonged uncertainty surrounding the proceedings has hindered our ability to adequately plan and deliver an event of MXON stature in line with the high standards set by FIM Africa and motocross and the motocross community. Given the timeline constraints imposed by Clause 78 of the FIM Africa General Sporting Regulations, which mandates a submission of an application for organizing permit, accompanied by the supplementary regulations that must include a confirmed venue and readiness at least 12 weeks before the event, Kenya Motorsport can no longer and in good faith fulfill those obligations. The Federation is unwilling to compromise FIM Africa's reputation or the event integrity and has acted proactively to allow sufficient time for the appointment of an alternative host. Baru yavudde mu
KMFS.
About the film Georgie. And I think Aaron, this being an injunctive Kampala about the sports tribunal and everything. But I think Kenya had any issues, sorry to say, even in their federation, moving the Mupira. I'll give an example. Uganda had them Wafcon Wabachala after I think the last appearance in 1995. We were meant to play Kenya. Akubaya Itao. They had issues in federation. FIFA never has a body. Uganda qualified without playing that game. So even without playing that fixture. So even in motocross, you don't see them come to Uganda for CSC. You gotta go to Tanzania hosting. You see the safari, of course, Bajigatane KNRC, and recently we talked to the Timothy Kinoti guy, maybe co-driving on safari, expressing his dissatisfaction over the same move. But sponsor to much value because the event is the WRC, to coverage ya money, and then Bo as a country, safari, it's of course it's epitome of motorsport. Even if it's Uganda, safari is the epitome, but they seem to buy a lot of issues, and I fear I'm Sasira Muturi. What he inherited. Baina
nyingi niyenza tekyembagalako engeri gye baziwumbawumbamu nsubira singa kino ekintu kyabadde Uganda ne tuwaayo event bwe tutyo nti tetukyagisobodde gitegeka ndoza singa social media is a buzz kimu kinga kyajjudde eddanga kitegeera singa kinene nnyo naye nze ndoza njagala engeri Kenya gyeyisaamu ebintu byayo mirundi mingi ebizibu turmoil zinene mu ASN endala nyingi nnyo naye ebivaayo mu Uganda binange biraga nti ffe tulina ezisinga obugazi olw'engeri gye tubiteekamu mu social media oba engeri gye tubiteekamu mu media anyhowly ne tutamanya na how to control ebimu tubiwumbewumbe bikole ki bitwalibwe empola kubanga I think solution si yabi kasuka out there gabo oyagala solution eri mu ffe munda yenyini ffe tulina ebizibu oba ffe tubitandika ate ffe tulina obyemalira so Kenya eri mu turmoil nga bw'ogambye dwindling entries ku gundi nki ate bo bagenda nnyo deep ne skin colors bibakuba wala nnyo bibatuukamu nnyo saawa zino ddala nze ndaba kitu kyeyongera ddala ng'ogyeko ne court cases ezo injunction ezo zinjunction zammwe ezo okitegeera bakyalina ebintu bingi okutwala ndowooza nga Uganda ndowooza ne Kenya naye erina okutula wansi ndowooza tuyinza okufuna ezi mediation
naye nga jjo wajja otuwa submission when before this time was by the way, Kenya was in the African sport in terms of levels of competition. You'd really admire the way you'd see. I'll give an example in rallying. You'd see into Chatazi and you say complete chap
competitor adjude.
Yeah, of course they have dominated in the ARC because they have Manvilu. Those are 15 years Chate on the ARC. 15 Chate. 16 still Kenyan. That is Don Smith driving that car katika wenye Mujaina. then 14,
17
Kenya, Manville, 18 Kenya, Manville,
19 Kenya,
19 Kenya and Manville, 20 COVID, tewali wachiriwo, 21 Flash Tour, winning by the way double, winning a double. So it's
the era ya Patero over.
Then netuja 22 Gomez. 22 Gomez. 23 Patel. 24 Patel. 25 Yasina Sayakulide. But let's only open
the Madengamba, Kwakati, I'm on a number of motorsport forums worldwide, including Kenyans. Uganda cheva singa inti tumanyi motorsport, ate following motorsport, ate bote bachi following. Nobody extremely green. Kalbochi bamanyi motorsport is safari rally. Outside that, they are not that passionate. So for them it is an outing. Eracho volaba, era nagamba some guy. Bogena mu viewing points. Normally it's my Naivasha.
Hell's Gate.
Test. So vamu kumotoka wezi ingede motoka ku stage gena musimu gonde mu park
deeper
mu car park where you've parked the number there is bigger
than the ones watching
of Kenyans. The number in the car park what is a social outing to about the common safari, but he has no idea what is going on. For them it is a pro gate. So
leading and amugamba
that's why nakumayani yavuze. I heard there's a guy called Oichitanak, but tamayani chinonga there's a Hyundai. Okay, what car is that? That's how they are. So the interest in rally is about Nanim. Chembagala is the communication that comes out officially like that. The guy who wrote that thing, very professional. Exactly. He just before the one of FIM came. So on the discussion, or in the Kenyan groups, they are now asking what is MXON?
Yeah?
What is MX?
And he's on the group.
What's that going to do with Safari Rally? He's on the group. So Money Rally is about Safari. They're not the Safari Rally and they're national. But I miss got money. Now that autocross is very big, I think that whole thing lasted about 1 hour and it dropped. It went back to Safari, which they got on all the discussion platforms. Because that's just how detached they are from.
Last year they didn't host the ARS, the body hosting, bad weather. Yeah, you know where the roads. Motuli namana jamasi na issuing a barua. Naga, it wasn't bad weather, it was financial constraints. Or costing that event. And I think them okujimaging and ARS the WRC, to me it was a no-brainer because it's one way of saving same roads.
And don't expect another KNRC in the near future.
Running the ARS
in the near future. Don't expect another KNRC coming anytime soon.
Are you sure?
Because their complication
is deeper than
ours. But they are
not the East African.
And the East African Classic is a totally different arrangement. For them, they are Dakar. It's a totally different arrangement. There are structures there. But if these guys affect them, to be a problem. What they are having is like almost similar to what Rwanda and Burundi have. Rwanda and Burundi have the interest in rally, but they don't have the competitors. So that's why they have only 2 events a year. They have the ARC and maybe
then the 2 other nationals.
So it becomes easier for them to say, let us splice our activities to competitors of Uganda, we shall able to fund them to make the event a bit more colorful. But they're able to do that. But they cannot do the same for their ride, for their nannies, for their events, because the competitors are just not there. Burundi, same story. At first, why we make the mistake is to assume that is the standard. Because for them, they've given us some money to go and drive in their nanny, we shall assume FME should do the same. So somewhere along the way, things get a bit confused. But my region right now, Uganda, I think is the most vibrant. We are the most talkative. Passion, but in that process, tukuba left, right, center, so somewhere along the way, we end up being our own what? Problems. Also.
And someone was telling me about asking ourselves how best can we spice our national championships, be it motocross, be it motor rallying, particularly in the fundraising, narrator to fail. That will hype to the event, right? air ticket, accommodation, motoka weri, and he had blast. Okay, he did training, but he could track Tebamula because of what happened during the event. And telling me, even in NRC, the federation can do what the competitors want. Like, everyone there are competing Mumbara. I'm told you, see Nasa. They want fuel accommodation, and that's all they come and it's actually, even in motocross, something.
I don't know how to calculate mulala mujja bweru kwe bikolere abanasi olabe
yeah, of course for the locals it has to be default happening. For the locals it
can't be default. Why does it can't be default? Once I've had this argument over and over, and I keep telling people 3 principles that govern motorsport. Number 1, you are there at your own choice.
Yes.
2, you participate at your own risk. And number 3, it is your budget that maintains you in what?
In motorsport.
In motorsport. Therefore, bobo ogenda ku participate kumanya nti chiri kogwe.
Change.
Don't assume nti Aaron
ayino kukwatako akuwe.
However, bwe manfunya kasente nga federation, it becomes now my responsibility as administrator to see how I can spice up my championship. So I'm not going to support you to participate, but I'll make everything that makes participation interesting available to attract you to come and participate. When and I come and have a partnership with him, and more than mafuta.
Exactly.
Okay, I have a partnership. There will be fuel. Nengenda nenkwatagana ne insurance, and you are covered. The safety of the event is covered 100%. I do a partnership with districts where I'm going to go and participate in rally, and they're able to contribute to those districts. Once we have Mbarara, Hoima, where else do
Fort Poto.
Fort Poto, we know. Yes, Masaka, Sumanyi, Sembabule. Towari chitugana gena kugera these people. Netubagamba, we want your
so much
contribution. For me to bring the right to air should be A, B, C, D, such that your costs are also covered by the area where you're going. Then you make it easy to, okay, we shall organize accommodation for competitors, we shall organize some welfare, fuel has been provided for, etc. I have insurance, you are covered as a participant. It's now you foot, but you must participate, so you show up comfortable knowing that some things are sorted. Na ina ka pick up keka, nga ya ka parking, nga you can actually drive. We'll look for that 5 million shillings to Akatereze, come and participate. My entries jump from 30 to 50 per event.
You're saying
the incentives you give, the incentives you add on to the driver over the participant. Bringing the vibrancy in the we are in a time of plenty.
The synonymous with what Kenyans had by the way.
Tugezeko nnyo kulaba nga tumaintaininga in the season of plenty twetegekera the season of scarcity.
Because it will come at one point.
Chija. Somehow, somewhere, season of scarcity tuukanejja. But bw'oba wategeka bubi mu season of plenty, byebizibu byosinga okufuna. Kenya ebintu byonna bidaba byefuna. Yalina abanene nga teyeetaga na mutono gw'omutono bakusibira nayo batutuusiza amateeka nga batutuusiza gundi eno okitegeera kubanga twalina abanene ababituukiriza by that time.
True.
Kanye kituuka nga abanene bagenze vu naye tokyalina n'omutono gwe wali ogamba nti alina interest ennene gwe yalina ebiseera ebyo naye natakyasobola kwesitula kujja kufitinga mu ngatta ezo kubanga then nga okyalina abanene wamukola ki wamuteeka nga ebbali. So nze kintiisa kyokka nti bwe tuli kati nga tuli mu season of plenty eno nga tulina bangi tugezeeko grooming obulungi tubayise bulungi kati ne bwe tuba tufiiriddwa abanene be tuyita abanene nga bagenze ate bano abatono bwe tubadde tutandise okugruminga basobola okutekinga up engatto ziri netuba nga continuity neebaawo ennungi.
Bukenya watyanga mu season of plenty mukoze enteekateeka ne mufunayo eka zammwe nga 10 oba nezigwamu be okay whatever the case might be. You can actually run 3 or 4 different sets
of designs.
You can actually have 4 or 5 different events in the year in the same area. And then it is properly portioned off So you're sorting out issues of safety, issues of repetition. Nenga, it is designed such that it is always available, but for you. What you want demo for a money making venture.
Yeah,
if you're able to protect it.
and a bit about motocross tracks. I'll give an example. Go about the MTN Arena in Lugogo. It can host different sporting disciplines. Volleyball, table tennis.
Nawe netubala netubala nti ettaka erisobola hostinga autocross neri hostinga karting neri hostinga sprint ne motocross liba lyetaaga kuba
neokolayo
ekikumi owadde nakinene n'omwami oli yajjana designinga Ibra kikumi
recently
mwagala kutta bantu
yampereza the architecture the design of the track ya karting okuba newano with this kind of, because studies ziraga nti we've only used only 13% of our land in the entire country. You've only used, of the 100%, you've only used 13%. You have 87% in your area. It just gets back to this. Okay, that's all we've had for you guys. We'll definitely get back next week. Never out of motorsport.
To be communicated.
We'll definitely get back next week. Never in the world of motorsport.